Although this is another year where Wizards fans should not expect much winning, the team needs to be better, or I'm going to be super, super frustrated. This is Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
DC family, this is Locked On Wizards, where you're a part of our family. We thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day, alongside DC Sports content creating savant and credentialed media member for the Washington Wizards. That's Abdullah. Check him out on his Instagram page, host of the DMV Sports Zone page. I'm Ben Strober, and I cover all things DC sports for 106.7 The Fan and the Team 980. You can check me out on Twitter or X at Ben Strober Media, on Instagram at Strober Sports. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. A lot to get to in today's edition of Locked On Wizards. If you missed our announcement from Monday's video and then our post that we did on our YouTube channel, just a little written posting, whatever you call those. So getting used to doing that on the YouTube app. Now on the 3-episode week schedule, there'll be a couple of instances where maybe we will post more than that, depending on what kind of content we have available, some interviews. We've got a really good interview planned for you tomorrow. We'll tease that. We'll tell you who it is at the end of this episode. So stick around for that. But today's episode, important for me, Abdullah, because I know as Wizards fans, we've gotten into this mindset for the 2025-26 season where we know it's another year essentially of the ethical tank. And with the top 8 protected pick being this black cloud that looms over the franchise in a way, because if you're the Wizards, you're not interested in losing that pick in next year's draft. It's going to be one of the more talented draft classes. And as we know, the Wizards still are not close to being a super competitive team. They're going to need all the help they can get, and they need to find a cornerstone player. They might have that on the roster right now, but it is far too early to tell. So to give up a first-round pick is a thing that you'd have a huge problem with. But Abdul, last year, going 18-64 firsthand, and that number is a bit inflated because of the way they played down the stretch. Actually picked up a couple of pretty nice wins toward the end of the season to get to that record. Could have been a whole lot worse. They need to make strides this year, and although I do want them to have that pick in next year's draft, I need to see them improve in a lot of different categories. I can't have them be a bottom 3 defensive team again, a bottom 3 rebounding team. I mean, the team, they completed no-win November last year, and that was just embarrassing. That was really, it's like, don't be that team. Yeah, we can't be that team again. I don't care that we have this thing above our head where we need to lose a certain amount of games, because they need to develop. The young guys they have, part of this organization, part of this young solid core that we rant and rave so much about throughout the offseason, we can't see them falter, play out a system, lose belief in what they're trying to build here in DC. So I'm trying to say right now as a fan, although you should want the team to lose enough games to have that pick next year, if they win 15 games next year, you should be pissed off. You should be totally angry. You should not have confidence if they only win 15 games next year, because they have too many guys right now that need to develop here in either their second year. Then you add a couple rookies to the mix. It just would be unacceptable to me if this team found itself winning only 15 games next year. It's got to be better than that.
No, I couldn't have said it. You couldn't have said it any better than me, Ben. You have to be competitive every night. You can't have what we saw last year when the Indiana Pacers came to your house and dropped 160 points on your home court and you lose by 50-plus points. I get it. Indiana Pacers went to the NBA Finals, and essentially should have won if Tyler Halliburton didn't get hurt. But at the end of the day, you want to be that team that's competitive. You can't be that team that just everyone looks at and says, hey, that's an easy dub for us. There's no excuse to have 2 16-game losing streaks in the season. I'm sorry, that's half of your losses of last year. It's inexcusable. In year 3 of this rebuild, every night needs to be competitive. I need to see a more aggressive Alex Sarr. I need to see a Tristan Vucevic who will go up there and get rebounds. And I'm tired of losing the paint battle. It's frustrating. For so long, for Wizards fans, at least the post-John Wall era, closing out on three-point shooters just wasn't a thing. 50-50 balls they weren't really 50-50 balls for us, at least. And I know the whole Kyle Kuzma thing, don't be that team. We've been that team, but we got to go out there and prove these people wrong, because everyone thinks this Wizards team is just a joke. Every time I talk to someone, they're like, man, Wizards fans still exist? We do exist. That's how optimistic we are right now, because we're still supporting this team, even when it's the the dog days right now. And I think right now, I don't know, Ben, would it be like, this might be pushing it, but maybe ideally you get the 8th pick and you're still competitive, but then again, you're also pushing it to the point where you might fall out of the top 8. So I don't know, but you have to be competitive every night, Ben. Again, I don't want to see another losing streak of double-digit games. That's just inexcusable. And if you're going into this season and you come out with less than 20 wins, I'm looking at Coach Keith, and I'm a big Coach Keith guy, but I'm looking at him like, hey, man, like, we got to figure out something, because this is inexcusable.
All right, so basing this off last year's standings, which could mean nothing because everything could be completely different. In order for the Wizards to guarantee the top 8 pick, you have to finish in the bottom 4. The New Orleans Pelicans finished 4th worst in the NBA last year with 21 wins. I think that's doable for the Wizards, and every year it can be different. Like, theoretically, the Wizards can win 23 or 24 games and still be the 4th worst team, because right in front of New Orleans was Philadelphia, who was 3 games better at 24 wins last year in a just really, really poor season for the 76ers, mostly due to injury, but still a really bad season for them nonetheless. But one of the things I wanted to get into, Abdullah, with this Wizards team is, you and I are saying it right here, that they need to be better. They need to make strides in this year, although it doesn't mean necessarily they're going to win a lot of games. They need to be better in a lot of categories, offensively, defensively. And somebody that agrees with us is Will Dawkins, general manager of the Washington Wizards. During his exit interviews, made it very clear what he envisioned for this franchise. I'm going to play the audio for you right here, and he's saying exactly what Abdullah and I are saying right now. Just take a listen.
Into the playoffs, it's us there for a while, not in and out. And to do that, we got to build slowly and build the right way. And while we understand we're not close, we are closer. And that's the goal every single season.
We're not close. We're closer. And by that answer right there from Will Dawkins, that tells me his expectations is that the team should be improved. From a defensive standpoint, that's what they've preached as a franchise throughout the process of this rebuild. They have preached the ability to get after it defensively, guard the ball, pressure the ball, pick up 94 feet, have guys that rotate well, get over from the help side or from the weak side. And we saw some proof of that from some of the young cats in the summer league, like Alex Sarr, who made some absolute strides defensively with an 8-block game for a summer league record. Keyshawn George, who balled out on defense as well. And then the addition of Jameer Watkins will be on the 2-way contract this year. But those words from Dawkins tell me that he has higher expectations for this team, despite the cloud that hangs over the head of the top 8 protected pick. And I know they're not interested in losing that pick, because they asked him, Mark Jones asked him the direct question during the summer league and said, you guys flirt with the play-in tournament potentially next year because, the East is so much weaker due to injury? And he was like, yeah, we want to get to where we want, but we don't want to skip any steps. And next year's draft is part of that step. As much as Wizards fans don't want to hear that because they're sick and tired of losing, I hear you. I'm sick and tired of losing all the time. It sucks. It stinks to be a laughingstock and have everyone tell you that your future isn't bright because you're not winning any games right now. The players on the court need to prove that the future is bright for this team. They have to go out there and compete and look like a legit team. If they go out there and stink it up like they did for a lot of the season last year, it's going to be very disappointing for me.
And Ben, a big reason why I'm optimistic, last year this team swept the Denver Nuggets. Granted, I think it was 2 games they played or 3, but there's flashes there saying this team can be competitive when the time gets right and all the pieces come together. And next year, I think we're going to see strides offensively, defensively. The year 2 above Carrington, Keyshawn George, Alex Sarr, Trey Johnson's going to put up a Rookie of the Year campaign. I can't wait for that. I think the young guys are definitely going to ball out, and it's going to take some time for that to gel together, but it's going to be a fun team to say the least. You can bring up the Pelicans, but the one thing about the Wizards is right now, there isn't that much high expectation. And that's what makes these young guys less stressful. It's no stress basketball. That's what you got to love here in DC right now. But at the end of the day, you have to see improvement, whether it's on the scoreboard, winning. You just can't get blown out every night because Wizards fans, they're losing hope. They're hanging on by a thread. I know you and I are. We're trying to be optimistic. We're saying all of this, and if the team goes out there and loses by 30-plus points, loses the paint battle, I mean, at this point, what are we saying?
I just think we're at a point where we can't use tanking as an excuse for god-awful basketball anymore. It's just, we're past that point. It's getting old to say the team is tanking to lose by 30 points. If they're losing games, but they're being competitive, sure. Yeah, it's an ethical tank. I'm going to get over that. I'm fine with the losses at that point. But if you're out there putting up a terrible effort, guys are out there jogging, not playing any defense, playing out of system offensively, that's where it becomes unacceptable for me. What development should look like for this Wizards team? We'll tell you that next here on Locked On Wizards. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing on your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. One thing that surprised me when I downloaded the app was how much I was spending on groceries and going out to eat every single week. Had to find that balance when I got out of college. How much could I budget for my groceries versus how much could I budget when I actually went out to eat on the weekends or whatever, as a young person does. And with Monarch Money, I was able to finally balance that and save that much more. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Use code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. Abdullah, as we enter this 2025-2026 campaign, you and I preach to the choir here that the team needs to develop, and especially defensively. If you look at the numbers last year, Wizards bottom 3 defensively. Once again, they've been abysmal the past few seasons on that side of the basketball. And for a regime that is preaching how much it values defense and how important it is to even getting on the damn floor, it's got to be better.
Yeah, and I think the only way to go is up. I mean, you can't really go more down. I mean, you can be bottom last, but bottom 3, you have to see some improvement defensively. And I'm thinking additions of Jameer Watkins, a guy like Trey Johnson, who was told by Will Dawkins that you got to give more effort on defense. You show him the tape, and Trey Johnson took you to the chin. And not a lot of players would do that, especially young guys. They get upset, but he said, I'm going to learn from it. Alex Sarr, that 8-block Summer League game, breaking a record, definitely gives me optimism for him being the elite rim protector. Keyshawn George, versatility, can guard 1 through 4. I think Tristan Vucevic hopefully will get better defensively and be more aggressive. I think all around this Wizards team, since the bar is set so low, they're going to be able to hit strides, but how much of the strides, we'll just have to see. But again, you just have to see some improvement. That's what we want to see at the end of the day, Ben. You want to see some improvement, and I'm hoping the whole top 8 pick, I still think we're going to keep that pick. I don't think we'll be that competitive to the point where we'll fall out of it. But again, you never know. The NBA just might luck us out again.
One of the things I wanted to touch on where they can improve defensively is if Corey Kispert gets dealt or not at some point, what happens with him before the regular season? Because you and I seem to have written him off for quite a while as a guy that we don't think will be here when the regular season starts. But it's up to Will Dawkins in that front office to see if any movement is actually made before the start of the regular season. He had the worst defensive rating on the Wizards in 2024 with a 123.3 rating. And I believe that's one of the worst in the NBA. I'd have to double check on the exact stat.
Was he worse by a margin, Ben, like compared to the other guys?
So comparatively, second worst was Bub Carrington, who was rated at 121.5. So Kispert was a dude that really struggled defensively, and I don't even really need the rating to tell me that he couldn't defend, because my eyes don't lie to me. I'd watch the games. Corey Kispert is a dude that just couldn't get it done on that end of the floor. And he's a fine basketball player offensively. I think he did some things really well because he had developed his game to be more than a spot-up shooter. He's a dude that actually moved pretty well off the basketball. found ways to cut to the basket, get open, get into passing lanes. Kispert did those things well. But for a guy that just doesn't fit the timeline for Washington and he doesn't really fit what they're trying to build defensively, I think that's a problem for the development they're trying to put right there. Bub Carrington being where he is on that list, a little bit interesting for me because in that summer league, Bub to me was really getting after it on defense. He looked great. And Bub's a guy for at his position. He's one of the smaller players on this team, if he's not the smallest right now, at just a little bit over 6'4". I think he's right around 6'5". Carrington's got the tools to be a good defender. And I know his role is going to be completely different this year. He'll have the ball in his hands a lot more. So he's going to have to be in tip-top shape in order to get it done on both ends of the floor. And that's another thing that applies for Trey Johnson. He's a guy that you'd see him get a little bit gassed even in the summer league, even though he played so well and he came up big actually down the stretch in their win over Brooklyn. You could tell he's a little bit gassed out there. I think getting used to the NBA floor and how demanding it is, especially to play on both ends, because that's something he wasn't used to at the University of Texas. That's going to be interesting to see how those two are able to play. What kind of, obviously they have a plethora of guards that they can play on this Wizards team next year, so they're not going to have to play those guys 30 minutes a game, 35 minutes. But if you got to have those guys out there playing 30-ish minutes per game, you got to be able to have them give full effort defensively every single night. So I think that's going to be a big part of their development, is just having guys that defend, because we know there's guys with offensive talent on this team. Trey Johnson, as you mentioned, I think he has a very, very good chance at making a run for the Rookie of the Year award because he could score the basketball that damn well. Looks smooth, looks polished for a guy that only got to play in the summer league so far. So our attitude could change completely about that. But I have a lot of confidence in what Trey Johnson brings to the table. His bag work is crazy. If you saw a clip of just, what he was doing at Texas last year, the moves he was able to create separation from his defender, kid's going to be great with the basketball in his hands. What other guys can pick up the pieces alongside of him? I think offensively, Keyshawn George is the guy that was a little bit hot and cold throughout the regular season, but I'm also very high on the development we saw to him. I think he has become more than a guy that can stroke it from beyond the arc. I think we've seen him develop his game to be pretty good off the bounce and find ways to get to the rim. He's a legit lob threat when he finds those opportunities, and that's a big way we saw him get his buckets last year. Was around the rim like that. He's got some sneaky athleticism because I know he's not really tabbed as one of the more athletic guys on this team, but I'd be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, going back, Ben, to the wing position, if you keep Corey Kispert, it's insane to think about that you're going to have a surplus of guys because you have Justin Champagnie, Bilal, Corey, Will Riley. So it sucks because one of those guys is probably not going to play at all at the beginning of the year. I'm assuming, am I wrong, Ben, that it's definitely going to be Corey, right? That's not going to be, he's going to be the odd man out?
I think it has to be. I mean, especially now that you add Whitmore to the mix here, who's going to be a huge boost for them offensively in this upcoming season. I think they're a little bit more concerned about what they're going to get from him defensively and what that is going to look like for this organization. Kispert's probably the odd man out. I think you're right about that. We're just kind of waiting for that day to come for this team.
Yeah, and it does suck because at the end of the day, I was a big Corey Kispert fan coming out of Gonzaga, and again, he got more aggressive as from year one to where he is now. From year one, he was just a shooter, but he now takes it to the hole more. But again, at the NBA level, if you can't defend, you can only shoot, and that shot's not going in. You're just a liability on the court. And I'll keep mentioning the emergence of Keyshawn George last year is like, we have a shooter that's like 6'8", 6'9". And one thing I want to say about Keyshawn George, man, I want to see him bring the ball up more. I want to see him make a move, back someone down. That fadeaway mid-range shot, it's so freaking clean. Defensively, his hand in the passing lane. I mean, he has a real legit shot, Ben, of being the best out of him, Bub, and Alex Sarr, which is amazing because I'm so high on Alex and I love Bub.
I know we've had these conversations about like what the ceiling looks like for Keyshawn George. I think we're going to find out this year for real which of those two dudes between him and Sarr can have the greatest impact on this team, because I think this is a super big year for Alex Sarr. He needs to be better around the rim. He needs to get his field goal percentage up to around 50%, because I think for a guy that's at his size that gets as many opportunities as he does down low, it's got to be better. I know he found himself on the outside a lot, making over 100 3-pointers for this team But he's got to be more efficient. He's got to be stronger, get his back to the basket, and impose his will and his size at the rim. I mean, I'm going to sound like a broken record how many times we have said this throughout the offseason. I'm looking forward to seeing him in the Euro basketball thing with Bilal as well. What kind of minutes those guys will get with France. I mean, that's going to be stiff competition for sure. So I'm going to be tuned into that. That doesn't start for a couple weeks from now, but we saw some media day pictures of Bilal and Sar in the French uniform. So that was pretty cool to see. Did you catch that, Abdullah?
Yeah, I love it, man. I think Bilal Coulibaly is going to have that year 3 jump offensively. Defensively, he's already there, and I'm so excited. He was the first pick of the Will Dawkins regime. A lot of people are doubting this kid, but he just turned 21. He's so freaking young, and the sky's the limit.
Absolutely. Now, as a fan for this Wizards team in 2025, you should be rooting for the team to ensure it has its draft pick next year. But what do fan emotions look like if you are rooting for development, but also losses? We'll touch on that next here on Locked On Wizards. All right, Abdullah, this is one I've been pondering about for quite some time, really the entire offseason, because I just go, damn, how am I supposed to feel? Because what if the team, I don't think this is likely. I don't think this happens. But what if they did go out there and have crazy development next year and win 28 to 30 games and miss out on the top 8 pick? How would people feel about that? And for me, it'd just be so tough because if they actually won that many games, and I don't think this happens personally, I'm pretty sure the regime would do what it needs to do in order to make the draft pick possible next year. But putting that to the side for now, if they did get to 30 wins because dudes like Bob Carrington were just elite at the point guard position next year in his new role, if Alex Sarr found a way to dominate in the paint like the way we think he can for an entire season, if Trey Johnson is a rookie of the year type player, are you frustrated because they miss out on the pick? Do you feel like that holds the team back because they don't have that pick to work with in a super talented class? But if one of those guys emerges as a cornerstone piece and a superstar player, then maybe you don't think about it as much. I'm really torn on how I would feel, and I want to gauge the temperature of the fans that are watching this. How would you feel if this team actually won enough games to miss out on that pick next year? Abdul, what would you think?
Well, it's kind of like bittersweet because you're ahead of schedule, essentially, Ben. We hopefully found that guy or superstar or all-star here in DC, the role players around him. It's gonna hurt more, Ben, if the Suns are really bad and we weren't able to use that pick swap. If they landed a top 4 pick, then that would hurt. I'm right because we have their pick swap rights for next year. But I would want to see. I want to see this team win. I'm tired of losing, Ben. I get it, but if you add another guy, like it would be awesome to get an AJ DeBonza, Nate Ahmed, Boozer Twin, Elijah Arenas. The list goes on and on. How much talent, but there's so much talent right now on this roster that we want to see them go out there and play. So for me, I'd be happy for 30 plus wins. I understand you want that draft pick, but at the end of the day, if you see Trey Johnson break out, Bub, Keyshawn, Alex, the list goes. Cam Whitmore. I mean, he has a lot to prove. Traded from Houston to DC, his hometown. I wouldn't be that upset. I want to see this team win. I'm tired of freaking losing. I'll keep mentioning it. We want to see this team be good. Back in the John Wall, Brad days, Otto Porter, Marcin Gortat, and this team had something. Like the fans were rooting for something. Like, even though we didn't go to the Eastern Conference Finals, every home game just felt electric, and I want to go back to those vibes.
Yeah, the one thing that I fear with that, though, is I don't want to get stuck in the middle. Because if they get around 30-ish wins and they miss out on the draft pick and they're unable to get another all-star caliber player in that draft like a lot of people anticipate, and even though they might have some talented pieces, what if it's just not enough to get over the top, to be a team that consistently finds itself winning a lot of games? Like, well, I mean, what if they're a team that kind of just flirts below 500? Then you're right back where you started, essentially, when the rebuild began, which I know is not the goal of this regime. We heard Will Dawkins say it earlier. He said they want to get to a time where they're a perennial contender in the Eastern Conference, a team that is top 5 in the conference year in, year out. They don't want to be a team that bubbles around the play-in tournament for 1 year, misses it the next, is the 8th seed the next year. They want to be in the hunt in the thick of things to try to go win a championship year in, year out. And if you get to a point where you're kind of stuck in the middle, like they could be if they actually won too many games this year, I don't know. I am tired of losing a ton of games and using that kind of, the tank as an excuse for what's happened on the basketball court for so many years. But the way I've seen the other rebuilds around the NBA, like the Houston Rockets, who have pulled off one of the more successful rebuilds in recent memory, and of course, Oklahoma City pulled off the best one, of course, capped off by the championship. So that one, and then Houston, a team that's on the rise right now, that's in a win now window. 3 years of bottoming out before it made that jump, and then eventually made the giant leap that it did to get to astronomical proportions last year, number 2 seed in the West. I mean, maybe we could see that from the Wizards here in a couple years, but I don't think they should skip that step. They need to be better, but they can't be too good. And I know this is I feel like
people really puts you in a predicament, Ben. It's like
everyone's going to come for me in the comments saying, Ben, like you keep contradicting yourself. Like, do you want the team to lose games or do you want them to win? Like, and the answer is, I want them to lose games. I want them to compete, for God's sake. I want them to be better. I want them to lose close games. I want people to show why they're going to stay here long term. I just don't want them losing games by 30. I don't want to have another no-win November. I don't want to lose 16 games in a row ever again. I'm tired of that brand of Wizards basketball. And I think a lot of people can feel what I'm saying right here, because I'm sick and tired of being a joke, being a laughingstock. It's time to be a team that is focused on its future without being an embarrassment. I think there's 2 ways you can look at it. And I think I'm choosing to go with the perspective right here where they need that pick next year, but I'm not going to tolerate them being an absolute embarrassment to watch.
Yeah, it's a complex situation. That top pick protected pick really hinders what side we want to choose. And I agree with Ben, even though it might sound a little confusing. I want this team to be good, but I also don't want them to miss out on a talent like I mentioned, DeBonza, Boozer, Ahmet, Darren Peterson. I mean, this class coming up has loads of talent. It's amazing. On top of that, you have more draft capital to maybe if you want to move up in the first round. So it's really going to be an interesting year. And that first half of the season might dictate how the Wizards are in the second half. But this team needs to be competitive. That's plain and simple, period. Like the one thing you can get from this episode, guys, for those listening, you have to be competitive no matter what. We can't get blown up by 30-plus points every night. 2 16-game losing streaks. It's inexcusable.
Absolutely. Well, let us know how you guys feel about this video. What is your expectation for this team if they bottom out and only win 15 games? Are you frustrated? Are you happy that we have the pick to work with? Who are you looking to see make a jump next year to give you confidence in this team going forward? Tell us in the comments below. Let us know on social media. Locked On Wizards, _Wizards on Instagram. That's Locked On Wizards on Twitter. Sub to the YouTube page, like this video, because we got even more great content to put out for you guys. We appreciate all the love that we have gotten from you guys. The past month has been a booming month for the channel. We made a post kind of detailing some of the analytics. What's been a really great month of July for the Locked On Wizards family. I know we're at a point in the summer where there's not as much to talk about Wizards basketball-wise, but Abdullah and I, we're going to keep it going. We're going to keep this train moving and keep the channel going up. And that starts with the video that you are going to see tomorrow. Chad Myers, the head coach of the Link Academy in Missouri. That's where Trey Johnson went to high school. We're going to have an exclusive interview with Coach Chad Myers, who spent every single day with Trey Johnson before he became a transcending star at the University of Texas and the Wizards' first pick in the 2025 draft. That is going to be an awesome one. Do not miss it.
Yeah. This is going to be exciting, Ben. I can't wait.
Getting excited just thinking about it. Chad Myers will be on the show tomorrow. Let everybody know. And if you're interested in hearing about what kind of player the Wizards are going to get out of Trey Johnson, a guy that we think can be a rookie of the year type player, well, Chad Myers is going to detail why maybe we just might be right about that. We thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen today. For your second Find the Locked On NBA podcast where there is no off season. Doug, Matt, and Hayes keep you up to date on contract negotiations, rumors, and everything you need to be the most informed NBA fan. Find Locked On NBA on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Stick with us, Wizards Nation. That's Abdullah Ayubi. Check him out on Instagram at the host of the DMV Sports Zone page. I'm Ben Strober. Keep up with me on Twitter at Ben Strober Media, Instagram Strober Sports. Wizards Nation, we're out.